Okay, so here we go. Thanks everybody for joining us. This is our first ever virtual meeting, our first ever time using Teams, and our first ever time starting on time. So thanks to everybody for joining us. We hope that everybody is healthy and safe at home. This is a really wild ride that we're on here, and we just hope that everybody is doing well, maintaining their sanity, and that no one has had any major blow-ups with their children at this point. It's been 2 weeks, so you never know. I wanted to just kick us off. We'll jump right in. But before we get started, I wanted to say thank you to Rocio, Z, and Gian for, as always, their organizational skills helping us get this together. I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Rebekka. Rebekka is a Microsoft MVP. She's going to be speaking to us about the AI Builder. And this is something that I think for a lot of us, particularly as the Power BI user group, is hopefully fairly new. So I think we all have a lot to learn. So Rebekka, do you want to take it away, if you wouldn't mind giving a bit more of an introduction, and then Rocio and I will keep an eye on the chat.
Yeah,
and tell us where you are, Rebekka.
I am currently somewhere in rural Netherlands. So I can say where I live, but you will not know.
No, that's enough. I just wanted to hear to let people know that this is possible, because you're far away, but it's still possible.
Yeah, I am far away. Yeah, yeah. But this is actually the second time I'm presenting like this. I did Power BI User Group Maryland as well, and I thought, well, this actually that was not under these circumstances, but it was actually great. I didn't have to travel for it, and yeah, I like doing that. So thanks for having me. So hopefully you all see my screen in the meantime.
Yes, we can see it.
Yes? Okay, great. So let's just start. I will introduce myself in, I think, the next slide. So we'll work out. Today I'm going to introduce you to AI Builder. I call it a deep dive because we basically cover the whole solution. So at the end, hopefully, you will know more about AI Builder. So I already told my name is Rebekka Aalbers. I'm a technology consultant for a Microsoft partner in the Netherlands called McCaw. And I'm also a user group organizer, the Dutch Power Apps and Flow user group. We still call it Flow, although it's officially Power Automate. As you mentioned, I am a Microsoft Business Applications MVP since December 1st. I'm Dutchy. I'm a book nerd and a lover of all things unicorn. So if you follow me on Twitter, there once in a while I need to tweet something about unicorns. That's just a habit of me. And my family situation is that I have one husband and 2 cats, so no children, which is actually a plus in times like these. So hopefully you are all right where you are, because these are strange times. Let's just say it like that. So what did I have in mind when I created this session? I wrote this session for people who want to know more about AI Builder, and you have some experience with the tools in the Power Platform. So in this case, not Power BI necessarily, but Common Data Service, Power Apps, and Power Automate, because those are the tools that you will use when you use AI Builder. And my goal is that at the end, you will understand how, why, and when to use AI Builder. So my agenda is fairly simple. Why and what of AI Builder. And that's the main part of my session. And if we have time, we'll go through availability, administration, and licensing. But sometimes when there's not enough time, I skip that part and go right into Q&A. Let's just see where we end up today. So why and what of AI Builder? But first, so I can't see you guys, but feel free to help me out, because if you tweet something using the hashtag AI Builder, I can use that down the road in one of my demos. So you can use any language you want, as long as it's a language that uses Latin scripts. And it would be very helpful if there was some emotion in your tweet, but feel free to do so. If you don't, there are still a lot of tweets going around about AI Builder, but I like to use actual tweets from my audience in my demonstrations. So, okay, let's go back to Microsoft Ignite of last year, because that's where AI Builder was introduced. And I like to give an idea about AI Builder, about how Microsoft presents it. So with the Power Platform, IT is democratized. But to accelerate IT more, it needs to be more democratized. So we now the business users can build apps and do a lot of automation or dashboards, but to be to have the applications that we need more and smarter apps, and that's where AI Builders introduced AI for every app in everyone. So you no longer need to have a data science degree to make use of artificial intelligence in your applications. It is part of the Power Platform. So together with the Common Data Service and data connectors, it's one of the it's foundations that can be used, and specifically within Power Apps and Power Automate. But hopefully in the future, it will also have easy integration with Power BI. So before I go further into AI Builder, I like to tell you why I do like the Power Platform tool so much, and AI Builder included. Well, I started out as a business user, so I didn't have a schooling in IT. I just worked at a department as an office clerk or some administrative job. And I landed by accident in the IT department of an end customer. So the IT director, I worked with him on a project, and he asked me if I wanted to come work for him. And then I found out that I was actually quite good in IT and that I liked it. And then at some point I thought, now I want to work for a supplier. And that's when I became a consultant and a Microsoft partner a few years ago. So for me, it feels like I have seen IT from all perspectives. So as an actual end user, as an IT pro, and as an IT supplier. And that's actually why I like the Power Platform so much, because I used to be this business user who did crazy things with Excel, and the IT department didn't like it. And then I was the IT pro who saw the struggles that IT has to manage the platforms that they're or out of control users. And I think that the Power Platform is a really good answer to the struggles of both business users and IT departments. So let's have a look at AI Builder. So their AI Builder is made up of two model types, custom models and pre-built models, and they do what it says. So a custom model you can customize, and a pre-built model is just out of the box. You can use it. You only have to use it. So when you go to Power Apps or Power Automate, there is an AI Builder section in the menu on the left. When you click it, that's where you can start your trial, and that's where you also create your model. So you select the model that you want, and you follow the guidance in the user interface. So here is that you see that's really an end user targeted solution that can also be used by a lot of other people, because you don't have to have a degree. Just if you follow the steps that are shown in the user interface, you get a long way in using this tooling. So for a custom model, you add your own data, then you train the model, and basically train the model is clicking on the train button. You check the outcome if you like the performance of your model. Redo that until you are happy, and then publish and use your model. Are the models that are available? There's this whole stack of models from pre-built to custom, and they are adding models along the way. So let's first have a look at the pre-built models. The first one is the business card scanner. I'm not entirely sure how it is in the United States, but in the Netherlands we don't use business cards that much anymore. So in the first I was not that enthusiastic about this model, but in the end I found some really good use cases for this model, because you also can use it, for example, to scan name tags. So what it does is you scan something that has an address on it, or some some information, a name, and stuff like that, and then it takes the information out and labels it so you can store it into your system. The business card scanner has its own control within Power Apps. Under the AI Builder tab, there is a business card reader. There you can add it to your screen. And it's also possible to add it to a model-driven app. And what it does, if you click on the Scan Business Card button, you can either upload an image or take a photo, and then it will extract the information and put it in the fields that correspond with this information. You can change it a little bit if the scan was not completely correct, and then you can save it. So this to get your contact information into your system becomes a lot more easy instead of having to type it over. One note for this is that the quality of the outcome depends highly on the quality of the business cards. I've seen some business cards that have bad design with too much coloring, not enough contrast, and then you see that this model also finds it hard to read the information. So the next model is sentiment analysis. The sentiment analysis is what it says. It analyzes sentiments in texts. It either is positive, negative, neutral, or mixed sentiment. For example, in social media or customer reviews or any text data that you want to analyze. So I would like to demonstrate this model. So what I did is I created this Power App and loaded a bunch of tweets from Twitter. Just load to see if somebody did some tweeting about AI Builder. This is always taking too long. So So we see here some tweets from different people. So Chuck also did something. So let's just see if I can get some information about the sentiment of the tweet that he did. So what I did is I created a flow. And this is funny because it says it's negative because apparently the word killing, which obviously he mentions as positive, is found negative by the AR Builder model. This is things that you see because it's a dual word. This is where you see that AR Builder still finds it sometimes difficult to determine what actual sentiment is. So let's just try some other one. So what you see here is it's not too late to join us. Apparently that's negative. This is so cool. That's positive. And then there are some neutral. So this is the information that the AR Builder model gives me. It looks through the text that I give to it. Then it gives an overall score. In this case, mixed. And then it gives me a score per sentence. So I thought it was nice to showcase the sentiment with emoji. And there you see that it finds it as a mixture. Although I would say it was rather positive. So depending on some words that you use, it's either you get an idea of what kind of emotion is expressed in the message. So how did I do it? At the moment, this model cannot be leveraged directly from within Power Apps. For that reason, I used Power Automate to use this model. And there's at the moment a kind of a workaround that I need to do that. And I will show you both flows so you have an idea. So the first flow I will want to show you is how to get information from a model within Power Automate. In this case, I'm using the sentiment analysis model. The models you can use in Power Automate by using the predict step that is part of the Common Data Service current environment connector. And I don't know if you know it, but the Common Data Service actually has two connectors. The normal Common Data Service or the Common Data Service current environment. The predict step is only available within the Common Data Service current environment. And there's one thing to know that you need to know about this connector, that is that you only can use it when your flow is inside of a solution. So if you don't find this connector when you type in common and you only find this one, that means your flow is not part of a solution. So this is what flow is. So then you have the predict step, and in the predict step, you basically choose the sentiment, the model that you want to leverage. In this case, a sentiment analysis model, and then there are some properties that you need to fill in. In this case, the sentiment analysis model needs a language tag, so it understands with what language a tweet is, a text is created, and based on that. And the tweet, the text, obviously, that you want to analyze, and then it will give you an output that I showed you in the Power App. At the moment, there's a limitation on adding this flow directly inside of a Power App. For that reason, I do a step in between. So from Power Apps, I trigger this flow. That just the only thing that I do here is call the other flow, get the response back in this flow, and then I can respond it back to Power Apps. So I know this is something that they will fix in the future, but in the meantime, you basically have to do this step in between.
Rebekka, can I jump in with a quick question from the chat?
Yes.
So Tammy asks, it looks like she's following along on her machine, and she says, I'm not clear where to begin.
Correct. I guess for me, I'm in the Power Automate mode, but I saw a different screen that says something about manually, and I wasn't sure if you clicked on the create button or did you go to home in order to start the flow. I wasn't sure where you began.
Okay, so I first created the Canvas app.
Okay.
The next thing I did is to create a flow from within the Canvas app, and
Gotcha.
that is I have this gallery here, and then I set on the I have to redo my work again. What I did. So what I did, I added an action on the gallery
Okay.
to start a flow. So the first thing I did is basically create this flow. No, I did. I think I created the other flow first. But the first thing you have to do is create a solution. That's the first thing.
Okay.
So if you go to either Power Apps or Power Automate, you can create a solution. And when you create a new flow from within this solution, and I'm just going to use the manually trigger a flow.
That's what I saw. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Because what this is, because I used the child flow option, you can run child flow only if there's some kind of manual trigger. In this case, it was to manually trigger a flow. The next step then would be to look for the common data service current environment connector, and then you find the predict step in that one. And here you will find all the models that are available to you in this environment. Is that clear?
Yes, that's clear.
Okay, awesome. So basically what I did now is to do a jump from my Power App, trigger a flow that triggers another flow that gets some information back, and then in the end we have some information that I can show on the detail screen. This was just, I created this app only to showcase this model because otherwise we have to look at flow runs, which I don't like that much. But it could also mean the outcome you could, because you use Power Automate, you can store it wherever you want, or maybe even if you want, in case of a very negative response that the percentage is really high, you want to automatically give something a higher prioritization or do some actions on it. So that's where this model is best in use. So this was one of the models that you can use. Another model that we have available is the key phrase extraction. The application is very similar. You can leverage it from within Power Automate directly. The difference, what this model does, is that it extracts the main points from text. So instead of having the sentiment, you get like short abbreviations of what can be found in the text that you give to the model. Another model is text recognition. And basically, this is OCR. So it extracts information that's text from an image. So you can have machine readable characters that you can store in another system. And the last pre-built model is the language detection. So I used to do the demo I just did with combined with language detection and sentiment analysis, because the sentiment analysis model needs a language code to as input to do the analysis. But Twitter already gives me a language tag, so I don't have to do that. But for example, if you get a lot of emails from different countries in different languages, having the language detection model in between could help you to determine, to allocate, for example, the emails or messages that you get, or to do translations, or whenever detecting a language is useful to you. So let's have a look at the custom models. The first custom model is the prediction model, and this is the model that's currently general available. What it does, it determines the likelihood of specific business outcomes. So for example, it's always currently it's always a yes, no, or a true, false. So for example, do you want to give a loan to somebody who applies in the case of a bank? Or in case of my company, if we approach somebody through LinkedIn to look for new talent, what is the outcome if somebody will actually join the company? This is one of the models that actually relies on your data being in the common data service. So this, if you have a lot of data in some database, the first thing you need to do is get your data into the common data service, because this model needs this data as input. So if we look at AR Builder again, and we choose the prediction model, you give it a name. And this is where you need to pick your entities. So you first have to have your data in here, otherwise this will not work. Now I don't have enough data to really show this model, but I can show you how to create it. So what the next thing is that it gives you in the fields, it gives you the amount of fields that you can use to predict the outcome. And what it will do, it gives you either fields that are true, false fields, or yes, no fields, or that have option sets. But if it's a field that has an option set, for example, category, then you need to determine what is the yes value and what is the no value. I would like to really show this model, but because this is so heavily relying on good historical data, I find it very hard to give meaningful demos, because the data that I have available to me, I cannot use in demonstrations, and the data that I find online is really hard to determine. So this is all one of the tips I give you if you are considering using a prediction model. It only makes sense if you really understand the data, and if you can can have understand that if the outcome, what the outcome, if that's good or not good. Because if you just throw in data in this model and it gives you a prediction, you have no idea if it makes sense.
Rebekka, that's a good point. I'm wondering if we can jump in with a couple of questions.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this question is for you and really for anyone on the line. There is a question from Tom about pricing, and there's a question from Jamie about a timeline for when preview models will go GA. So Tom, do you want to jump in first? And I can just read his question if he is on mute. So the question here is there any way for members of our user group to obtain free access to premium features? So this question, I think, Chuck, are you still on the line?
I think not. I think he said that he had a meeting to go to, but
Are we?
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead. It's fine.
So there is for premium features, there is the trial that you can use. And at the moment you can actually extend it without limitations. That will stop at some point. But for other premium features, I would advise you to make use of the community plan, which is a free plan that gives you your own environment within your company tenant or a known tenant that you have. And there you can use things as the common data service, the premium connectors, Paris portals, basically everything premium. As far as I understand, that's not fully functional for AI Builder, so you still need to make use of the trial version of AI Builder. The current trial preview models you can use without a license, but they will become general available very soon, meaning next week, because that was the other question.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I had this prepared. This is actually when you are going to use AI Builder, you get this pop-up that states that it's April 2020. These are the models that will become general available. So the form processing, key phrase extraction, object detection, language detection, sentiment analysis, and text recognition. And there is also, if you have done some things with form processing and object detection, those models are actually replaced. So everything that you did with these models, you have to redo with the new general available models. Any other questions at this point?
Thank you so much.
Let's see where. So the prediction model is general available. What is fair other than that it uses CDS entities, and there is at the moment only 2 outcome possibilities. That is something that will change in the future, so that you can predict more than just 2 outcomes. What is good to know is that there are some data requirements. You have to have a minimum of 50 records in total, and 10 records historical outcome for each class. So in this case, there are 2 classes, but the recommendation is to use at least 1,000 records of historical data and make sure that the data that you use is without mistakes in it. So make sure that there is that your data is has a distribution on the outcomes that is for example, if we generally win like 10 or 20% of our offerings that we offer to customers. I hope we win more, but let's say that. And my historical data has a win percentage of 80%, then the outcome of my prediction model will be totally crooked. So I have to make sure that the outcomes are actual outcomes, and that it is a representation of what is actually happening. And then the model will learn over time if on what kind of information you have a win or loss. So what the model will do is it will write back the prediction into a prediction field on the entity. So you have your input data, there you have the actual outcome, and then there's another field where a prediction will be added for new data that has no outcome yet. And it does that based on a schedule that you will can add to your model in the Common Data Service, or you can schedule it using Power Automate. So the next thing is the object detection. The most demonstrations that you see with object detection are actually with object detection, because it's really visible. So I don't do that. So because there's a lot of demos that you can find online. What this model does is it gives you the name and count of objects that you want to detect. For example, you have a model that determines if an animal is a cat or a dog, or you have a model that counts bottles of certain sodas or beers for a brewery. So what it gives you as an output is the name and the count of the detected objects. You can use it in either Power Apps Canvas apps. There's a specific object detection control, just like the business card scanner, or you can use it with Power Automate. Have images and you can add them to some place where Power Automate can pick them up. There are some specifications about the type of images that you add, but what is very good to have in mind is that you need a minimum of 15 images per object that you want to detect, preferably 50 or more. So for example, if I am a brewer and I have, 50 types of different beers, times 50, you see how many pictures you have to have and actually manually tag before you will be able to use this model for such an amount of different beers. One thing you need to take into consideration is that you have you need different types of images with different lighting, different object sizes, camera angles, and background. So your model will work under a lot of circumstances, because a lot of times people will use this model. They're on their phone, they take a picture someplace, so you don't know what the lighting will be, and you don't know how close or far away they will hold their camera, and you don't know what the background will be. So to make sure that you have all these variables are part of your model, you have to make sure that your images are like this. So for example, if you would create a model that determines what kind of apple it is or what kind of fruit, and every time you have an apple that has this plate underneath, your model will consider the plate as part of the apple. So that's something that you want to prevent happening. Another preview model is the text classification model. And what this does, it helps you to build an application that reviews, tags, and classifies large volumes of text. So it can also use to track sentiment or improve customer experience or mine valuable insights. What it will give you, it's an output and list of tags that you predetermine with a certainty score in a separate entity. So this model as well needs data to be in the common data service. So you can also auto-generate it on a schedule and common data service, or use it within Power Apps, within Power Automate. And there are some restrictions on languages. So you guys all speak English, so that's usually a supported language. My language is not always supported. In this case, it is, luckily. So this is a model that we also can use with my native language. And what the data requirements is that the text and the tags need to be in the same entity within the common data service, and all tags need to be in one field using a delimiter. So and it's the minimum of 5 text items per tag, so to train your text classification model properly. So I know that, for example, in SharePoint, automatic metadata is something on the roadmap, but in the meantime, this is a model that you could be using for automatically adding metadata to documents in a document folder for people to easily find the documents. And the last one is form processing. What this model does is it reads, extracts, and processes data from scans, emails, PDFs, and images. What it gives you as an output is its key value pairs and table data. So, for example, if you have an invoice that you want to process with this model, the address or the invoice number, that would then be a key, and then the value would be the actual invoice number, or for example the line items. You can use it in Power Apps, Canvas apps, and Power Automate. You need some high quality images to be able to use this, and you don't have to have a lot of documents, but it's very specific that at the moment you can only use one type of form per model. So I would like to showcase this model as well. So what I did is to what I did is I looked in my mailbox and searched for some type of form that I receive on a regular basis that has the same layout, because that's one of the main things at the moment, that all the layout of the forms that you add to this model need to be the same. I am on the wrong computer and that I don't have my demo data in here. So let's have a look if I can show you one of the existing models. This unfortunate that I cannot show you. So because that's unfortunate. So what I will ask you to do is to try this model out by yourself. Hopefully next time I will be able to to show you what I found. I can share something of my personal what I found with this model. I tried it, and at first this model didn't really work for the invoices that I added. But at some point, I think it was when I did a Power BI user group, then I saw that they did some improvements. The model had some problems with the Dutch language as well, but it didn't understand the invoice lines on the invoices that I added to it. But that was at some point was fixed, so that was a good outcome. What this will actually help you is to automate a lot of processing of forms and also written forms. So if your company still has written out forms, or there's somebody that just hates to type in or to add that, the handwriting on the forms actually works quite well. So there are a lot of models, and the number of models are increasing over time. And I want to point out this visual that another MVP created. Eric Sauvé is from Canada. And what you see in this model is where, in this visual, is where all the different models can be used. And if you need to make use of the common data service, and also what if it's general available or still in preview. He promised that he will keep this visual updated, so you can visit his site back to see what the current status is of the different models. His name is Eric Sauvé. This is him with his Twitter handle and a link to the visual I just showed you. So it's bit.ly/ARBuilderWW. Okay, let's have a look at some recent updates. So as I mentioned, there's a lot still in preview. Some things are general available, but they are adding new features every time. So one of the things they changed is that you are now able to manually enter objects. It used to be that you were only able to hand a list of objects that was in the common data service, but if you now try to use the object detection model, you can just put in a manual list and you don't have to make use of the common data service. So this is the list that you can create. It's tag 1, tag 2, but you can still switch back to making use of one of your entities where you store the information that you want to tag. For example, if you're a brewer, you probably have your products stored somewhere in your database. In that case, it would make sense to make use of your database. And other updates were that there were some extra fields recognized from business card reader. So not only name and address, but I think fax number, if somebody is still using faxes, but you never know. There were some things that were changed in the Power Apps Canvas Studio, and also the AR Builder flow templates, so you don't have to create your flow from scratch. You can just reuse one of the templates provided by the team. So this I also showed. Very soon, next month, these models will become general available, and there are some models that you need to, if you have used them, you need to rebuild them. because they have an actual new version. What is on the roadmap? There are some pre-built text classification model coming. So at the moment there is the custom model, but the pre-built text classification model is even quicker to use. Another model that will come is the anomaly detection. So that will look for anomalies in large amount of data. So since we're in the Power BI user group, this might be a model that would be really helpful for use cases with AR Builder. Image moderation is when you can decide on if you want to show an image or not. And the last one, I hope, that's one I'm really enthusiastic about, the receipt scanning model. That will be a pre-built model, so it's just you can just use it. You don't have to train it, but it will understand how receipts are, what the general layout of receipts is, and get the information of the receipts just like the business card scanner. They're also looking into the usability. So the AR Builder connector that was updated. It used to be quite hard in the beginning to use the connector because you needed to parse the JSON. That was the output of the step. That was not user friendly at all. So they did that already, but they will keep on updating this connector to make it more user friendly. Another thing that they're going to update is a guided learning in the form processor. At the moment, you have to rely on the model to detect how your form is made up. If I was able to demo you, you would understand a little bit better. But the guided learning will be like the object detection, that you can just select parts of your form and say what it is. So you don't have to rely on the model to understand your form. You can help it along. Entity extraction model is coming. New Power Apps controls will come, and also the direct interaction with all the available models. So what I did in my demonstration was rely on Power Automate to have the sentiment analysis model and embedded in my Power App. But what will be available in the near future is that you can actually use the models directly from within Power Apps. They will add new pre-built flow templates to make it even quicker to create flows with AR Builder, and a try feature for the keyword extraction model will be available. So this not all. I just picked some that I find interesting, because if you look in the release notes for the next wave, there's a lot more coming. So AR Builder is still not available in all regions, but you guys are in the United States. So you have the full available features available to you, or you accept it if you're in a GCC tenant. I'm not sure what the current status is for GCC actually. So let's have a look at how to maintain and deploy a model. For updating a custom model, you can either create a new version. So this is something you only have to do with the custom models, because the pre-built models are maintained by Microsoft. You only have to use them. You obviously have to maintain your flows in your apps where you use them, but you don't have to maintain the model itself. But the custom model might want to update over time. Depending on the model you use, it's either that you can republish it based on a published version or a last trained version. You can change the settings, or you can change your training data and then you publish it, or in case that's the case for the prediction model and the text classification model. You click on retrain. And the reason why these models work differently is because those are the models that work that rely on the common data service, and they add additional information in separate fields or the separate entities. So with retraining, you actually add additional training data to the current model, and after that you have your model trained on more recent historical data. The deployment of models, your custom models, will be through solutions. So I just showed you how to create a solution and how you add something to a solution. Separate from that, it works a little bit different currently than for Power Apps and Power Automate, and it's only available for general available models. But in Power Apps and Power Automate, you can actually create an app or flow within a solution. With AI Builder, you first create your model and then you can add it to your solution. But it's so the practice that I describe in this slide is actually the practice how you generally work with solutions. So the first thing you do is you create an environment where you have an unmanaged solution, meaning you can still work on all the resources that are part of your solution. You do that in either a development or a sandbox environment, which is Power Apps or Power Automate environment. There you create your model, you train your model, and you improve your model. That means you have to have actual data in that environment to be able to train your model properly. There is an option to create, to restore your production database to a sandbox environment. So for example, if you use the prediction model, you can do a restore from production, so your model will be trained on actual historical data. Next thing is you export your unmanaged solution as a managed solution and import it in your test or QA environment, where you will be able to test your model if it performs as you like, and then that's the moment where you deploy your managed solution to production. So these steps are actually the same for whatever type of Power Platform deployment you do with Power Apps or Power Automate. If you want to have a mature way of deploying, this is the way how Microsoft says you should do it. There's a lot of debate because this used to be done differently, that everybody worked with unmanaged solutions. But to be more stable, it would be best to only work with unmanaged solutions on your development environments. So using the model is you need to publish the model on your production environment. Make sure to set your run schedule for running the model, depending on the model that you use, and share the model for people to use them in their apps or flows. The models also make use of the same rules and security that Common Data Service uses. So the environment makers can create AI models. The Common Data Service users can make use of them. And the system admins and customizers can access all models within a certain environment. The licensing is it's not that clear at the moment. I can give you what the costs, but what it entails is a bit of a question at the moment, and I will tell you why. So The AI Builder works with a capacity add-on, meaning you have an Office 365, Dynamics 365, or Power Apps or Power Automate licenses, and then you can add the AI Builder capacity add-on to make use of AI Builder on top of these solutions. The costs are $500 per subscription. You can buy multiple of those, and what it will give you, one subscription will give you 1 million service credits on a tenant level. So this is a shared store of credits that you can use for. So it's not user based, it's just on tenant level you get these amount of credits. You consume credits whenever you are training models or using models, and this only goes for the general available models. So the preview models are not consuming credits. But credit, what is a credit? We don't know. And the reason for that is that when AI Builder became general available, there was supposed to be a credit calculator, but that credit calculator has been delayed for a long time. At the moment you are able, and why should we have this credit calculator, is because when you want to start using AI Builder, you need to have an idea of the amount of credits that your model will consume. At the moment, you can ask Microsoft to do a calculation for you, and my expectation is that within in the near future, this credit calculator will become available. So you have these credits on a tenant level, but you want to be in control who is consuming credits, and you can, because your admins will be able to allocate capacity to environments from within the Power Platform Admin Center, so you can determine which environments and the makers over there can consume what amount of capacity from your add-on. With that, that was the last information that I wanted to share with you. Are there any questions?
Rebekka, thank you so much. We had a super active chat going on the whole time that you were presenting. I think to a lot of us, particularly to me, this is all new. So this is like really exciting and I can't wait to start playing with it. I also really appreciate that you try to jump into the licensing and pricing issue, because I feel like it's always such a mystery. So thank you for helping us with that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any questions that were not answered, or does anybody just want to say hi that we haven't heard from yet?
Pretty quiet.
In relation to your comment about us being mere mortals, I think unfortunately COVID has proven to us that we are.
Yeah, it's complicated when compared to Azure pricing model. Jamie, I hear you, but that's, yeah.
Indeed.
Azure is all consumption. That's pretty straightforward. Actually, this AI Builder also does consumption. The problem at the moment is that we don't have any idea about what the consumption means. That's the big problem. They are going to fix that in the near future. The cats. Oh, let me see.
Obviously, that's the most important part here.
To AI. Okay, Tammy, the team was actually what you can, if you go to AI Builder, there are some examples that you can try out yourself. I expressly don't use those in my session, so you have still something new to learn. But if you go to AI Builder, there are some links that you can follow, and with examples of how to use the different models. And you can have a look at the Power Automate templates. They also give an idea of what you can do with AI Builder. And let me see if I can quickly find some pictures of my cats.
Hey, Jamie, good to see your face.
Likewise. Figured, given the social distancing, we should all take advantage of Teams to check in.
I think in another week, I'm going to be wearing Kleenex boxes on my feet and have a tinfoil hat.
I've got my COVID beard growing out, so I don't know what I'll look like in 5 weeks, but whenever we get out of here, I'll probably have like the full bush beard thing on. And I'm wearing a hat because my hair is all. I don't even go there.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, he looks so sweet now, but he's a rascal. And my other cat is not so fond of taking on photos or something. So I can't. This is the young one. He's always doing stuff like this. So we take a lot of pictures of him. He's turns 1 year next month. The other one is the old one, the old grumpy one. He's 17. And, but I don't have a picture of him. That's how it goes, right?
It's like he just had dinner.
Yeah, that could be. He likes. So I'm sitting next to him, and he likes then to stick his paw out and just touch you or something like that. Yeah.
He likes AI Builder too.
Yeah. Or working on my keyboard usually. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, I think if there are no other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for joining. Rebekka, thank you so much for volunteering to speak and sharing all of your knowledge with us. Just so everyone is aware, Rocio put Rebekka's contact information and the link to her blog in the chat. So if you guys want to scroll up in there and get that information, you can. We will also post the link to the recording, if that's okay with everyone here. We'll post the link to the recording on the Meetup page so that everyone can access it. And what else? Is there anything else I'm missing?
No, and we'll organize another one of these very soon.